So the last time we talked, we were talking about fitness, health, everything like that. I want to talk about...
Oh, I think you meant the last time as in
Sorry,
3 minutes ago.
We're talking a few times.
Yeah.
The first time we talked a few weeks ago, we were talking about the fitness side of everything. Now, I want to talk about business.
Cool.
To give context into this episode, just in case, I'll also include all the other episodes that we've done in the show notes and in the description. Now, I have looked up to you, respected you, love the stuff that you do since I found your stuff.
Thank you so much.
And truly, and being able to do this and to dive into this and build this relationship means the world to me. So it's phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? Dreams come true.
It's been a pleasure for me. I mean, just to tell who's ever watching that doesn't know you personally, I met you 2 days ago, and within 5 minutes I was like, that guy's a buddy for life. Like, he's just cool, you know what I mean? You just get that vibe immediately. So that was awesome.
I appreciate it.
I wouldn't be making that up because we spent the next 10 hours together, you know what I mean? Like, if I didn't like you, I'm like, all right, see you, buddy. Like, that's it, you know?
You weren't allowed to bump me. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so where did you building your business come from? But before we even dive into that, we're talking about your parents, yourself growing up.
Mm-hmm.
What qualities do you think, retrospectively looking back, that you've positively taken from your childhood, from your parents, to what is given you and made Mr. Ferruggia himself today?
So I will say that it's been in my DNA to always work hard and hustle and not work for somebody else. And I don't glorify that to the extent that other people do. Like, if you don't want to do that, I have a lot of friends that work way less and they're happy, and I'm envious a lot of times because I can't turn it off. So it's not like an internet meme or a hashtag to me. Like, I'm not doing it so you think I'm cool. Like, it's just almost to my detriment sometimes, you know, or I'll burn myself out. But as a kid, I just didn't want to work for anybody else. I just wanted to always do my own thing, and I thought it was cool. Like, okay, what can I do to get paid for on my own? How can I hustle? How can I put every dime I make back into the business and continue to grow the business? And I enjoyed it. And back then, I didn't really read a lot about business. I don't remember reading about business for years, but I was successful, so I was like, I'll just figure it out somehow, you know? And I kind of like seeing the success snowball and whatnot. And I just, eventually, when someone, I mean, I was not a good student, so I didn't like to read. I would just sleep through school, you know what I mean? But eventually when someone's like, dude, you gotta start reading some business books, here's some that I really recommend. I was like, oh, this is a game changer. Yeah, so, and I would say all that came from my dad. Now, my dad and I are 180 degrees opposite, and I denied for years that I was even like him because we don't have a great relationship. But I definitely got that work ethic and that hustle and that grind from him. Now, I'm conscious about not becoming him because he did it to the detriment of his family and his relationships and everything, you know what I mean? So that's kind of the struggle and the balance. And I think from my mom, I just got like my open-mindedness and my, you know, like we were talking about before, like relationships are more important. And just prioritizing things other than business. Like, my dad was 100% business, and my mom was the opposite. She was like a hippie, like at Woodstock and whatnot. I was just a cool person, and that's why I'd be getting fist fights at 11 years old over racism or something like that, or why Malcolm X and Martin Luther King are on the wall here, things like that. So I got a lot of the good qualities from her, and I got the hustle and the drive from my dad.
Who was that tipping point for you to start focusing, consuming more, learning about business?
Alan Cosgrove was a good friend of mine, and he and I reconnected years later. We met, maybe not years later, but we met in '96, and I feel like we really reconnected probably around 2001-ish, and Dave Tate around that same time was telling me books to read. So those two guys were really, really impactful in my decision to really start consuming a lot of business information and marketing information, and realizing that it's funny because, you know, like, I have friends, and you probably know people who are anti-marketing in business. Like, I just do my craft, I'm just the technician or the practitioner. And sometimes that's the right way. Maybe you just hire somebody to do that. But if you're an entrepreneur and you don't hire someone, and then you're not going to do the marketing, then what's the point? Like, there's something inside that you need to deal with. Because it's either an insecurity thing, or you have imposter syndrome, or you're fraudulent because you don't believe in your product or service enough. Because if you believe in it enough and you genuinely want to help people like you say you do, then you should be singing it from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Everybody you meet, you should be trying to sell them what you have, you know?
I love that, because if you are producing the results, you are good enough for what you're doing. I kind of believe it's like your ethical right to make sure that you go out there, you give people, because you're helping people at the end of the day.
And if you don't, you just doubt it. You don't believe in what you have.
And you'll always second guess. You'll never pull the trigger. You never go all the way.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting. Like I took, like your story and my story. I see so many similarities. Like I seem to be, and I am so 180 from my dad, but there's some things that I took from him. It was so interesting. One, I remember him writing down a quote and he gave it to me, and I remember putting it up on the wall, and it's something that sort of stuck with me, and it was a Zig Ziglar quote, and it was, I will achieve what I want when I help others achieve what they want.
Yeah.
And it always came to that point, like, and that's business at the end of the day. Like, so many people have a problem with money and selling.
Yeah.
What is it at the end of the day? We're just bartering right now. Do you know what I mean? I'm giving you value, and in place of that, you're giving me money, which is just value. We're just putting a term on that, and so the bartering is done.
Yep.
And another thing was, he always said to me, like, if you want to do whatever you want, just be the best that you can be at it. If you want to be a clown, just be the best clown. But if you really want to make it happen, you're going to have to work for yourself, which I find so interesting, because he doesn't work for himself. He's not entrepreneurial himself. But I find that was something, like, that was a seed that was planted so early on. So when it comes to the growth of your business, when did it click for you? When was there like a moment where you were like, an aha of, okay, like I'm really onto this, I'm really doing good, and I can see where I want to take this?
I think probably, I started training people in 94. I started reading a ton of stuff like 99, 2000, 2001. Around there, a lot of things started to change. The problem at that point for me was I had done so many things wrong, but gotten to such a back then, for a personal trainer, strength coach, a pretty good level of success that I had to undo a lot of stuff. So it was kind of like, oh man. And we didn't have the internet back then and whatnot, but there was definitely a period where I started consuming all that information. I was like, all right, I know what I got to undo and do differently. So it was just a bit of a process, where if I was starting from day one, I could have fixed so many things.
Looking back, what would you have done differently?
Not hiring people soon enough, not outsourcing stuff soon enough. You know, maybe trying to do too much, where a lot of entrepreneurs make the mistake where they're answering the phone, they're cleaning the toilets, and they're training people or whatever their gig is. Yeah. I was doing that, but I was even doing more than that. Whereas you should try to read books like Essentialism and The One Thing, and try to narrow it down a little more and try to do everything instead of trying to do everything. And what's funny is when I started online, Craig was helping me out a lot. Craig Ballantyne. And he was significantly impactful in my finances online and whatnot. Yeah. But about 6 months into it, I was like, oh man, like this guy's doing this, I see Craig doing that, and I'm not doing all that. I'm only doing these 3 things. What about these 97 others? And Craig's like, no. Well, and what you talked about earlier, he knew me, so he could individualize it for me. He's like, that's not going to work for you. Yeah. You have certain strengths, you have certain weaknesses, and if you try to do these things that I do and that other people do, it's going to drive you insane. You're going to want to jump off the roof. Don't do that. Just do these things.
Yeah. Okay. A concept that's been given to me recently that I've kind of put into, and so a couple of weeks ago, I walked into a high mastermind that I got asked into, and it was awesome. Like, ballers were in the room. I felt like this total little kid, like giddy, like, oh my God. Yeah. But the thing that we went over was like kind of like how you track your business, and there was 2 factors that they track their business. One was genius time and one was free time. And I had 0 for both. Genius time was, what days do you have where you're only doing your genius, which your genius was kind of classified under the things that you know that fills your cup.
Yeah.
I mean, you're absolute best at, and also accelerates the business. And free time is, what days do you have where you're not reading business, listening business, doing business, any of that sort of, like, completely separating yourself. And I had 0 and 0, and I was like, what am I doing with myself? Like,
but so many people would have 0 and 0.
Totally. So what's your genius?
It's funny, so it took me so long to figure it out, but every time I asked that to people, and the other funny part is I was the complete opposite for most of my life. Now people tell me it's building relationships and being around people and making people feel good, connecting people. Like I said before, and I prioritize that. Like Sunday, we were just out with great people and hanging out for 10 hours, and I love doing that stuff. And I joked around with Craig because Craig says that's what I should do. Bedros says that's your strength, being around people and doing that kind of stuff. And if I could just get paid to just hang out with friends, like I kind of am now with the podcast, it's awesome. If I could do it 24 hours a day, I would. So, and I thought I was really good at writing for a while. I built a success, like my first 10 years online, I really just wrote. I barely did any videos. I didn't do any podcasts or anything like that. And I built a really successful business at writing. And sometimes, when I say to my mom even, because my mom, the only thing I was good at in school was writing. So she's like, oh, it's cool to see that you made a career and a successful business out of writing. I was like, yeah, I barely write anymore. Actually, I don't even like to write that much anymore. Jen says the same thing. She's like, oh, but you're such a good writer. I'm like, I just don't like to do it anymore. And I feel like this is better for me now. Like, I just enjoy this more. I feel like maybe I'm better at this. So.
How do you help somebody find their genius?
I think you have to try a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I think it is important, like I said before, to narrow down and focus on something. And you should do that. So let's say you're starting out, someone's starting out in business now, and they're selling information like you and I are.
Yeah.
So you can deliver it through written content, audio content, video content. If you don't know, try all three, but don't try all three at once.
Yeah.
Pick one and do a podcast for 3 months, and be like, nah, I'm not into podcasting. Maybe I'm better at writing.
Yeah.
And some people are better at writing. Like I've had authors on the show who I love their books, and they come on the show and they're not that good at speaking. So they should, now you know why they're authors, So you got to see what your strength is, what you like to do. And I'm a believer in asking people, like, you have to have people around you who will be honest. And I've always been able to do that with friends, but like, bro, you're fucking up, or you're not good at this, or you're great at this, focus more time on that. And you should have those people around you, and then just send them. Sometimes it's awkward to do it face to face, so I'll send them an email, or I'll recommend clients, coaching clients, like, send 5 of your closest friends or confidants that are going to be honest.
Yeah.
What do you think I'm really good at? What's my strengths? What is my weakness? What should I not spend so much time on?
Yeah.
And get the feedback from them, because sometimes it's hard to see your own stuff,
That's really cool, because we were slightly talking about that on Sunday. Who's your circle of influence?
Yeah.
How have you built your circle of influence? How have you managed that? Because I remember I got to a point, and I think it was especially when I left Sydney and went to Dubai, I remember like sitting on the plane, I was like, I'm going to be very particular with who I surround myself with.
So important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So how have you cultivated the group that you have now?
Yeah. So by doing the same thing that you did, you were kind enough to say those things about me, and look where you are. You're here doing this with me, and I did the same shit. It's just you have to be confident enough and believe it. You reach out, like, so many people said, they're like, that guy's too big, that guy's too busy, he doesn't want to hear from me. Have you tried?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe you could reach out to Nas and he'll meet you somewhere. Who knows unless you don't try,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So reach out to everybody. I definitely made a concerted, conscious effort to start weeding out negative people.
Yeah.
So anytime someone would say, it must be nice, or they'd be complaining, I was like, I gotta get away from this guy. I can't stand this. So I'd start weeding all those people out of my life. And it sounds maybe elitist or harsh to say, but if I'm with somebody and they're the same person they were 10 years ago, I'm like, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of it bums me out a little bit. Like, they're not even trying. Like, we can all grow and evolve. We can continue to grow and evolve. And the flip side of that, and we talked about this a little bit the other day, is it's so exciting to see people get out of their comfort zone and continue to grow. And they don't even, like, being around those people, you learn just by osmosis, by being with them. So if I'm with a friend that I know has social anxiety, but he's significantly better in a group from how he was 6 months ago, all I need to do is spend 10 minutes with him, and I'm better, because I'm like, wow, he pushed himself, I gotta push myself in some way. Whatever I'm weak at, I gotta get better. I can just learn. So it's just by reaching out to those people. You have to spend money to go to events, go to networking events, go to business events, whatever your field is, go to the events where the best experts are, because you're gonna meet people. At the events, the best things that happen, the biggest takeaway is who you meet during the breaks and at the bar and everything like that.
Yeah.
Don't go up in your room and sit there.
Yeah.
Push yourself out of your comfort zone and go talk to people, tell them you're fans of their work, whatever it may be, and you'd be surprised at how many connections you can make. You got to put yourself out there and be in those places,
Who have been the people that have influenced you the most, or that you've loved that have influenced you the most?
In what way?
In any way, in your growth as a person, business, just
like that are now personal friends of mine, or
they can or they can't.
Okay. Well, I'm lucky enough to say that close personal friends of mine have played a huge role.
Yeah.
So Alan Cosgrove, Dave Tate, Bedros Keuilian, Craig Valentine, for sure, those guys have helped me out quite a bit, and I'm lucky in that regard. And it's kind of cool because I can think of them before I could think of other famous people that I don't know. I mean, there's definitely been people that I've looked up to and, admired their work and seen on TV. I mean, certainly I love what The Rock's doing and how he continues to reinvent himself. Arnold, of course. Yeah. Anyone in fitness would be inspired by Arnold, but then he's branched so far out of fitness. Everything he's done, he's continued to reinvent himself. So that's inspiring. Guys who have work ethic and hustle. Kevin Hart's not my favorite comedian. There's probably 50 comedians I put ahead of him, but I love his work ethic and his hustle and his mindset.
Have you read his recent book?
I have not. I was considering it.
I listened to it. I randomly saw it and I was like, I'm going to do it. And it was actually pretty good.
It's worth it?
Yeah,
okay.
It was actually really
I was thinking about that. I'll check it out. And so he reads it, obviously.
And that's funny as well because he does it really, really well. But I was like, this is not something I'd usually go into, but I downloaded it, I put it in. It was pretty good. It was interesting.
Okay. I check it out for sure.
Where do you see yourself going, both business-wise and just where you want to take yourself personally as a human being? Because obviously you've gone into the improv, and I love that you've done that. And I've been so inspired from you doing that because you're stepping outside of your comfort zones and developing key skills that you know were a weakness, and that's something so many people avoid. Where do you see yourself going?
Yeah, continuing to push myself out of my comfort zone. I do really love performing. I love doing the podcast. So I have huge aspirations and goals for the podcast. Yeah. And it's nice to hear, we're maybe 200 episodes in it, and it's great to hear people text me or email me, well, you're way better than you were 100 episodes ago. And that's great. I feel good. But then I'll listen to Howard Stern or I'll turn on Jimmy Fallon and I was like, all right, I got a long way to go. And that's, I just want to keep pushing myself and striving to get better. I love being on stage, speaking. I love doing improv. Just being I love community. And so last year I worked with the Los Angeles Dodgers. I was there for a week, and that was a really fun week that I enjoyed more so than I have with any other team or organization or stuff like that, just because of the culture they created. So doing more stuff like that, definitely. And then as far as the improv and the comedy stuff goes, I have aspirations for stuff I want to do with that. I kind of got to just balance it and see how it all fits, Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to go there, balance, because I've seen so much in there's work-life balance, but then I kind of recently, it's just life. Do you know what I mean? There's no work-life balance. It just all comes into life at the end of the day. Yeah. So how do you just have life the way that you want it to?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I feel like, I'll be 43 in a few weeks, and I've been working nonstop since I was 19. I feel like I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer to that where, it's not even work. To be able to sit here and talk to someone like you, who now I consider a friend forever and a great person, and to get paid for it. And then good friends are coming over, getting paid, and then I have other friends that are in entertainment, and we're going to start doing more video stuff, and just sit down and write stupid, silly stuff, and I don't know, I just feel like I'm in a really good place. And so it is like life. It's there's no separation between work and life, except you got to turn it off a little bit, like you said, to have, when you said your downtime zero. You got to be able to turn it off, certainly sometimes. But I think it's cool. I wish I knew when I was playing sports as a kid that I would have done better back then in individual sports and team sports.
Interesting.
Now, from a business perspective, I've always done better by myself versus having a team. But being in a partnership.
Yeah.
Having a team under me that I run is good. I like that. But now I've grown more into the idea of doing business with friends and making money with friends. Because first there's always the rule and the cliche, don't do business with friends and family. Yeah. And I've had bad experiences. Now I'm just more open to it. I'm evolved more, and it's exciting to, even if it's not a partnership, you and I are helping each other make money here, kind of in a way, you know what I mean? And so I like that. I like that I'm able to do business with friends, even if it's not a contract, so it doesn't fuck my head up too much. You know what I mean? Just that. So I'm evolving into that more, kind of.
How do you conceive your business? Because I feel like so many people that are going to be watching struggle to know what it is that they need to be doing with their business and what their business really is. So many trainers and coaches now, I just train people face to face right now, or I want to go online, or I want to grow bigger. How is it that you conceive what it is that you need to do to grow your business to this point, knowing obviously what you've gone through?
Well, I want to first start by saying there's nothing wrong with staying small.
Yeah.
Like, it's too much of a thing about you have to grow and you have to have a team and you have to always be working for more. Not everyone's made for that, and that doesn't equate to happiness. Yeah. Some people, they should stay small, and that's awesome. And a lot of times people will grow too big and like, this isn't what I want actually. I liked it better when I had 5 people, and now I have 50 people under me, and it's really stressing me out. So the quest for more and bigger isn't always smart. So know yourself, be really, ruthlessly evaluate yourself.
Yeah.
Don't just do it because everyone else is doing it or this guy's doing it. And I found myself there plenty of times over the years. I was like, oh my God, he's got that. But now I'm like, no, I don't want that. Like when I see B, our friend Bedros, what he's built and the amount of employees he has, I'm like, that's awesome. 5 years ago, I said I should have had that, and I'm like, I know my personality, I don't want that. That would screw me up. So be honest with what you really want, what's going to make you happy, and then just again play to your strengths. Like, and don't try to do too many things. So if you're just training people now, maybe you just need and you're on. Maybe you don't want to go online, because I've talked to a lot of people who tried to go online and they fail every time, and I'm like, bro, you hate Facebook.
Yeah.
You hate writing.
Yeah.
You're not good in front of a camera, but you're great in front of a group training people. Maybe we just need to maybe start charging more, come up with better systems for the gym, hire a few more trainers under you, and then you'll have more free time. Like, just getting online and pumping out blog posts isn't going to change everything. So you need to be, pretty clear on that too. And like we said before, don't try to do everything at once. Try to do one thing. I think most people and most businesses would be probably better served to start eliminating stuff, doing less, but doing it better.
Yep. Okay, so you must get this all the time. What do you first see so many coaches and trainers doing wrong? Like, what do you see as kind of like the general things that you're seeing that you're like, oh, I think this is where they're skipping up? And
in terms of growing their business?
Totally. And it's a great point, sorry, that you bring up, because do you know who Derek Sivers is?
Oh, yeah.
I've read so much of his stuff. I had a few emails with him. Awesome guy.
Yeah, me too.
And I love how he's like, why are you just growing to grow? Do you know what I mean? Like, his concept and the way he looks at it. I was just like, it's
great to hear a guy at that level.
Yes.
To say that.
Totally, because it makes, me feel something about myself with what's going on as well.
Totally. So, anything you want is that book he's got, that ebook he's got, and you can read it in a night easily.
It is so good. I say that so often because it is such a quick listen to as well. God, all of his stuff that he writes is, and that's the thing, like, look at what he's doing, say, with the content he produces. His articles aren't very long at all, but they're so powerful. Like, they're just condensed, like, nuggets of gold where you can, like, I can take that and I can apply that right now. Okay, that was a great tangent. Okay, what is it that you find that people are doing wrong when it does come for them to grow? And let's say more grow online as well.
Doing too many things, not outsourcing. And it's so easy and cheap to outsource now. Like, people think like you can get a virtual assistant so easily. There's services you can have. So even to take it to the next level, people do too much, like waiting in line or going to the grocery store. Like, use Instacart and use TaskRabbit and use Fancy Hands. Like, Fancy Hands is a really great service. It's kind of like an assistant and a team of assistants. There's so many things you can do to outsource and free up more time. So that's one of the first things when I help people with business. I'm like, well, let's stop you doing all that shit. And they're like, I don't know, just give me the business plan. I'm like, dude, but you don't have time. Let's free up some time. Let's stop wasting so much time. So that kind of stuff. And then just hire people. Like, when you can afford it, hire more people. I would say everybody should hire a business coach. You have to hire a business coach. Most people don't go to business events. You have to go to business events. But hiring a coach, even if it's just once for 90 days and you do it every 2 to 3 years, like, you need that outside perspective, you need that accountability. I think that's huge.
It's funny because so many people, like, we're not taught the business stuff.
Right.
You know, like, especially becoming like a personal trainer and coach, like, you're just not taught this stuff at all. You're kind of like thrown on out there, you know, like, hey, you can like train people, then like, well, how do I get people, how do I keep people, how do I make money, all this kind of stuff. It's just not even taught. It's funny though, when you talk about the building a team, I got shown a video, and it was the difference between a pit crew, like a Formula One pit crew with like the 1950s or 60s to like 2012 or something. And it's like the Formula One car come on in the 1950s, and it comes in and like guys like roll out the tire. It just took so long. Like and then like he's like banging on the wheel to try and take it off. And then you see like the 2012, pit crew, and like obviously that was a few years ago anyway. And it's like comes in, boom, and it's straight off. Like it was ridiculous the speed. And there was that analogy for me that kind of sunk in. Is like you need a pit crew. You need a crew because your job, the driver, is doing those few genius tasks. Everybody else comes in, boom, does their job, steps away, and you can keep doing what you need to be able to do.
Well, you nailed it right there. Bedros always talks about doing your 5% and outsourcing, or if you can't afford to outsource, don't do the rest. Don't even worry about it.
Totally.
Do what you're really good at and what you're strong at. And I do think there's something to be said for before you can outsource and hire, you should know a little bit about all the different things so that way you know you're hiring the right people and they're doing a good job. But you shouldn't be doing it all. You focus on your 5% or your 20%, however, whatever you want to do what you're really good at. That's the main thing.
That's really important because you don't have to do everything. Like let's just even use social media as an example. Don't try and do Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, Snapchat, everything. Like because I tried to do that for like. And I was just like, nah, I'm out. And because then you don't do anything. And that's the biggest problem. So it's always like start with one and keep growing from there. Okay, what is it that you feel like, we've kind of covered the don't do's. What are the things that do's? What are the things that you want to see people doing more of and focusing more to be able to grow their business or essentially just have more impact, but also maybe more in the context to enjoy themselves along the way as well?
You got to take an improv class. 100%. You got to take public speaking. You got to get out and push yourself. So I don't even think business tactics are that important. I think you need to fix things. You need to be better. You need to read how to win friends and influence people. You need to just get better at building. Like everything is relationships. So and a lot of people are socially awkward or it's not their strength. You know what I mean? So push yourself every day. Like go on meetup.com and go to join sports leagues, go to wine tastings, whatever it is. Get out there and continually get better at networking, at communicating, at improving your self-confidence, at building rapport with people, finding connection, commonality. That's so important. And then people will want to help you, they'll like you. That's really the most important thing. The more you can push yourself to do that, everything will change when you do that.
It's funny how so much of that is just being cool, just being nice, just being able to connect with someone. Do you know what I mean? Like that's all it is at the end of the day. But you see that translates over into say shooting videos. Like if you're just better in being able to communicate, like you don't have to sit there with a script or a teleprompter to try and shoot a video. Like you can just turn it on and jam and be able to, and it's so much more natural. People connect with it so much better and you're able to get a message that's clear and concise as well. Now with the improv, why the improv? Or firstly, what's the improv done for you?
So the reason I think everyone should take improv, it should be required, is because first and foremost, it improves your listening skills. Better than maybe anything else. Because you'll fail on stage if you don't listen to what your partner's saying. It improves your ability to think on your feet and react. And everyone's greatest fear is public speaking, so you're in front of people speaking and that just pushes you. You become a better conversationalist. The first rule of improv is yes and. So you always have to agree, which is so important for life and business relations. Like, so if someone says something you disagree with, instead of saying, no, there's ways that you can yes and that. You can say, when did you ever think about it this way? Or like, instead of saying no is bad. Like if you're talking to someone, you say no. Like if your favorite band, my favorite band is Pearl Jam, and someone goes, oh no, I hate Pearl Jam. Like, don't do that. You're already putting up a wall. So just yes and like, and the more you get into it, you see how that applies to life. Like Amy Poehler's talked about that, how she applies the lessons from Second City all to her business dealings throughout her whole career and everything.
I don't think I've ever told you, but what's your improv teacher, Rich Baker? Okay, so it is Rich. Okay, so I remember listening to your episode that you did with Rich, and he was talking about the yes and. And I was actually flying back to Australia for a mastermind, and it was a part I'm now teaching sales, like high-end sales to close high-ticket items. And he got to a part and he was kind of talking about similar sort of stuff, and I was like, oh, it's kind of like the yes and I literally just took it from listening to your podcast that you did with Rich. And he goes, and hit the next slide, and it said yes and that's exactly what he was teaching. So in the actual sales presentation, it was like, this is the skill that you
well, a
need
lot
to
of
be
people
able
are
to-
doing like corporate improv now and